have very little problem in this country at this moment, 5. When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to 0. And I just see right now it's about 149 cases. We pretty much shut it down coming in from China. It will go away, just stay calm. I am officially declaring a national emergency. We have a problem that a month ago nobody ever thought about. A lot of people think that goes away in April, but they think August, could be July, could be longer than that. And I haven't touched my face in weeks. In weeks. Now we're working very strongly with China on the coronavirus. That's a new thing that a lot of people are talking about. Hopefully it won't be as bad as some people think it could be, but we're working very closely with them and with a lot of other people in a lot of other countries, and we think we have it very well under control. We have very little problem in this country at this moment, 5.
How concerned are you?
Well, we pretty much shut it down coming in from China. We have a tremendous relationship with China, which is a very positive thing. Getting along with China, getting along with Russia, getting along with these countries.
Have you offered the Chinese president help with the coronavirus?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, we're offering them tremendous help. We have the best in the world for that. We've done a tremendous job in many other instances also on that, even recently. No, we've offered China help. But we can't have thousands of people coming in who may have this problem, the coronavirus. So we're going to see what happens, but we did shut it down.
To build a wall. Trust me. We happen. We're building a wall for you too, Japanese. The nuclear button. Nagasaki #2.
The virus that we're talking about having to do, you know, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically that will go away in April. We're in great shape though. We have 12 cases, 11 cases.
Guess you're ready, 'cause I'm waiting for you. It's gonna be so exciting. Got this feeling really deep in my soul. Let's get it, I wanna go. Come along, get it on. Gonna take my car, gonna see it. Gonna drive along till I get you. Like it, I wanna race for you. Shall I go now? I'm gonna step on the gas tonight and be alone. I'll be so quick as a flash. I'll be your hero. Gas, gas, gas. I'm gonna run as a flash tonight to be the winner. I'm gonna step on the gas and save the big show.
And 61% of the voters approve of Trump's handling of the coronavirus. And, you know, we did a very early move on that. I was criticized by a lot of people at the beginning because we were the first. We'd never done it before. We closed our borders to certain areas. It's never happened before.
I got to ask you about something that's on a lot of people's mind, and that is the coronavirus. How confident are you that China is being 100% honest with us when it comes to this scary virus?
Well, I'm confident that they're trying very hard. I mean, I know President Xi. I get along with him very well. We just made a great trade deal, which is going to be a lot of business for Arizona and every other place. But they are trying very, very hard. And I think the numbers are going to get progressively better as we go along. They're working at they built a hospital in 7 days, and now they're building another one. I think it's going to work out fine. I think when we get into April and the warmer weather, that has a very negative effect on
What a frickin' F word.
that and that type of a virus. So let's see what happens, but I think it's going to work out fine. We very much closed our doors in certain areas and about certain areas, through certain areas, and we'll see what happens. But we have the greatest doctors in the world. We have it very much under control.
What did he say?
We accepted a few people, a small number of people. They're very well confined, and they should be getting better fairly soon. Very interestingly, we've had no deaths. The flu in our country kills from 25,000 people to 69,000 people a year. That was shocking to me. And so far, if you look at what we have with the 15 people, and they're recovering. One is pretty sick, but hopefully will recover. And again, when you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero, that's a pretty good job we've done. We have a situation with the virus. We've done a great job. The press won't give us credit for it. We have, in a world that has some big problems, you look at China and you look at industry between the two countries, and I did something that had never been done before, because it had never been done before. I closed our borders to certain areas of the world. I won't be specific because it's not nice to be, specific, but you understand where. And I closed the borders to certain areas of the world very early. We'd never closed the border before. We've never done that before.
Right.
And flights coming in and people coming in, because they had a very early problem, and I closed them. I took a lot of heat from the Democrats. They said, "What's she doing?" Because anything I do, they'll do the opposite. When I closed them, I took a lot of heat from the Democrats. They said, "What's she doing?" Because anything I do, they'll do the opposite.
Radar. Well, Ryan, CNN, establishment Democrats, and neocons, they're taking up arms this weekend. Well, after the New York Times published a story Friday afternoon claiming that Russian intelligence officers have been secretly offering bounties to Taliban-linked militants in exchange for killing U.S. coalition forces in the country. The story alleges that the White House and the Trump administration have been aware of the intelligence since March and implied that the administration has done little to confront Russia in the country. Now, such a story seems designed to trigger Russiagators in the Democratic Party and the media, as it contains all of the ingredients for outrage. A president sucking up to Putin and appearing impotent while supposedly downplaying or whitewashing a threat to American service members. Now ask yourself, who exactly benefits from such a story being leaked to the press? And if your neocon detector is tingling, then you would be right. The question is, why is this information, which was supposedly briefed to the White House in March, coming out now? If you guess that it's because the Trump administration is in the midst of trying to sign a historic peace deal with the Taliban, well, you might just be right. The truth is that the war is bloody and it's horrific. Proxy conflicts in Afghanistan have been happening since the beginning of U.S. involvement there in the 1980s against the Soviets. You can read the story as Russia putting U.S. forces in danger, or you can read the situation as our government putting our soldiers in danger after nearly 20 years of war, where pretty much nothing except the draining of hard-fought American blood and treasure has been wasted. Getting the hell out of Afghanistan precisely means not having to deal with all this proxy war bullshit any longer. But that has not stopped the media and Democrats from basically agitating, not just for more war in Afghanistan. Vice President Joe Biden has responded to the report with typical Russiagate framing. Let's take a listen.
Donald Trump has continued his embarrassing campaign of deference and debasing himself before Vladimir Putin. He has this information, according to the Times, and yet he offered to host Putin in the United States and sought to invite Russia to rejoin the G7. His entire presidency has been a gift to Putin, but this is beyond the pale. It's a betrayal of the most sacred duty we bear as a nation, to protect and equip our troops when we send them into harm's way.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi even outdid Biden, claiming that the only conceivable reason that Trump has not, quote, done something yet in response to the report is that the Russians must have something on him, showing that the Russiagate brainworms continue to run deep.
How would you explain his refusal to even to ignore again and again the intelligence that puts right at the Russian doorstep?
Even worse was a segment done by the Russiagate queen, Rachel Maddow.
If this Times report is correct, this means that U.S. intelligence has concluded that Vladimir Putin is offering bounties for the scalps of American soldiers in Afghanistan. Not only offering money to people who kill Americans, but some of the bounties that Putin has offered have been collected, meaning the Russians at least believe that their offering cash to kill Americans has actually worked to get some Americans killed. The Russians at least believe, if these bounties have been paid out, that the people to whom they have offered this money have successfully gone out and killed American soldiers because of it, and the Russians have therefore paid for that service. And President Trump was told about this in March, and he has done nothing. Nothing about it.
Do something, Don. What are you waiting for, Don? What are you waiting for? When are you going to do something? When are you going to stand up to them? When are you going to stand up to them? Well, what do you mean stand up? What does that imply? What does that entail? At the very least, we're talking about sanctioning them more. Maybe you go a little further. Maybe you do another buildup of NATO troops right on Russia's border. Maybe you scramble some fighter jets. Maybe you escalate militarily. What do you want? What do you want to do? What do you want to do, Maddow? Rachel, what's on your mind? You're prodding the president of the United States to somebody who's an unhinged maniac. You want him to be more aggressive. See, this is what we call resisting from the right. This is not resisting from the left. This is resisting from the right. Now, just so everybody understands, who's the source here? Anonymous intelligence officials. Anonymous intelligence officials. So in other words, the same people who said Saddam worked with Al-Qaeda and Saddam has weapons of mass destruction, and the same people who pushed the original Russiagate story, which turned out delivering on bupkis. Remember when that happened? You know, maybe Trump was a puppet of Russia since 1984. Was it 84, 87? One of those numbers. Rachel Maddow doing segments talking about how Russia has the ability to turn off the power grid in the middle of the winter in the north of the United States of America. Oh my God, Russia's going to turn off our power and kill us. Oh my God. All of that was total and utter crap. Cold War 2.0 BS. So do I believe the anonymous intelligence officials? No, I don't. And by the way, they haven't presented any evidence. None. Zero. Now, let's dive into this claim a little more. They're saying the Taliban was getting paid by Russia to kill American soldiers. Let me ask you a question. Do you think the Taliban needed money to kill U.S. soldiers? We invaded Afghanistan 19 years ago. You know how long they've been fighting us? 19 years. They're a guerrilla army in Afghanistan and in Pakistan. And they don't like that we're there. So they've been fighting us. Did Russia need to step in to say, we'll pay you to kill the Americans? They were killing the Americans anyway. They were killing the American soldiers anyway because we were on their land. They didn't get paid by Russia. And you know what the crazy thing is? This is exactly what we did to Russia. See, people don't know the history of this, but you go back, Russia invaded Afghanistan. It was in the 1980s. And we funded and armed, at the time, the Mujahideen. And the Mujahideen, later it split up to Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, but the Mujahideen were Islamic fundamentalists led by Osama bin Laden. So we armed these jihadists to fight against Russia. Now, did we put bounties on individual Russian soldiers? No. But we did, broadly speaking, arm fundamentalist Muslims to fight against Russia. Why? Because it was a geopolitical move. We didn't want Russia to get any more territory, any more sway, control any more natural resources. We didn't want any threat to our standing as the world's sole superpower. So that's why we did it. And the logic was the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So in other words, we actually did one of the things, or something similar to what we're accusing Russia of doing. And now we're right back into the same old horse crap. There's plenty of real stuff to go after Trump for. For Christ's sake, there's a freaking pandemic, 120,000 people are killed, and we're not even mandating masks. We have an economic depression, and you're talking about you want Trump to stand up to Russia because Russia allegedly paid to have our American soldiers killed through the Taliban. They paid the Taliban to do it. The Taliban was going to do it anyway. Nonsense. So why did intelligence agencies, what would be a motive for them to lie about this? Well, again, first and foremost, they've never left that Cold War mindset. And the more we have the outside, boogeyman to be afraid of, the more funding the CIA gets, the FBI gets, the deep state gets. They can maintain their dominance. They can maintain their power and their funding if you have a permanent outsider boogeyman. And they've never left that mindset of the Cold War. And that's them in their own words. That's not me putting words in their mouths. They still believe in this standoffish approach, this tense approach with Russia. So the timing of this is really curious. Why? Take a look at this. Trump administration finalizing plan to withdraw 4,000 troops from Afghanistan. So right at the time when they want to withdraw 4,000 troops, now the claim is Trump's a weakling because Russia was paying to get American soldiers killed, and what's he going to do about it? He's not going to do anything about it. So it's like an attempt to try to prod them to stay in Afghanistan. Now, by the way, just to be clear, we are staying in Afghanistan either way, because withdrawing 4,000 troops would still keep thousands of troops there. I don't know the total number. There would still be thousands of troops there. But isn't it curious that as soon as we were finalizing this stuff, a story leaks from the intelligence agencies that basically are trying to accuse Trump of being a wimp and not being hawkish enough? And then the other reason is Medea Benjamin, she's one of the co-founders of Code Pink. She says the following: curious that allegations regarding Russia giving Taliban money to kill U.S. soldiers come just in time to sabotage talks regarding the last nuclear treaty between the U.S. and Russia, the withdrawal of more U.S. troops from Afghanistan, and peace in Syria. Sounds like fake news to me.
Snap back to reality. Well, some countries are not doing well. You can see that for yourself. And a lot of things are happening. We're very well organized.
Meanwhile,
Just got an order from the boss. Dump everything that isn't a
Hunter.
everything. Everything. Come on, come on, come on. Printer, printer. Delete, delete. Dump it, dump it. Come on, let's get moving. Hurry up. What do you think I'm paying you for? You don't pay me. You are the man. A name.
We have great talent, great doctors, great everyone. This tremendous spirit. Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We will do everything in our power to keep the infection and those carrying the infection from entering our country. We have no choice. Whether it's the virus that we're talking about or many other public health threats, the Democrat policy of open borders is a direct threat to the health and well-being of all Americans. Now, you see it with the coronavirus. You see it. On Monday, I'll be meeting with the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, actually. They'll be coming to the White House, and we're talking about a vaccine and developing very quickly, and they've already started working on it, developing very rapidly a vaccine for the virus, to combat the virus. And we're having very good initial feedback. And I'd like to just ask and caution that the media, we would respectfully ask the media and politicians and everybody else involved not do anything to incite a panic, because there's no reason to panic at all. This is something that is being handled professionally.
It goes through air, Bob. That's always tougher than the touch. You know, the touch, you don't have to touch things, right? But the air, you just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. And so that's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. This is more deadly. This is 5 per. This is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%. So this is deadly stuff. Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
Sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
Our country's doing very well. Our professionals are doing really an incredible job. We're also working with other countries to help them.
Are you also considering a national emergency declaration that would allow states and local governments to cap the amount?
I don't think you'll need that, because I really think we're in extremely good shape. We're prepared for anything, and we could always do that at a later date if we need it, but I don't think we need that at this stage. Interestingly, we were discussing, and a question I get asked a lot by people is, on average, you lose from 26,000 to 70,000 or so, and even in some cases more from the flu. We have deaths of that per year. Worldwide, it's hundreds of thousands of deaths from the common flu. And they ask, what's the difference?
Word on February 7th, before any known American deaths from the virus, that he knew COVID-19 was airborne and a deadly threat.
It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus.
And how does this differ? And I guess there are things that are similar and things that are different. Every one of them is different. You look at a percentage, we have a very, very small percentage. And a big percentage of what we have is when we brought in the 40 or so people from the ship. We brought them in, we immediately quarantined them, but you're adding that to the numbers that we had, which were very small.
We have a report today, the global death rate at 3.4%, and a report that the Olympics could be delayed. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think the 3.4% is really a false number. Now, this is just my hunch. But based on a lot of conversations with a lot of people that do this, because a lot of people will have this, and it's very mild.
Mr. President, at the outset of the coronavirus, your administration's response seemed to some as being confusing or minimizing. What plans are being considered on a federal level for the possibility of a long-term disruption from the novel coronavirus?
Well, actually, we're giving, I think, really giving tremendous marks.
Play it down.
You look at Gallup poll, you look at other polls for the way we've handled it.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
One of the things I did is I closed down the borders to China and to other areas that are very badly affected and really having a lot of troubles. I mean, countries and areas of countries that have had a lot of problem. And I closed them down very early against the advice of almost everybody, and we've been given rave reviews. And that's why we have only, right now, 11, it's a lot of people, but it's still 11 people versus tremendous numbers of thousands of people that have died all over the world. We have 11. We have 149 cases as of this moment. This morning was 129. Anybody right now and yesterday, anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the tests. And the tests are beautiful. Anybody that needs a test gets a test. If there's a doctor that wants to test, if there's somebody coming off a ship, like the big monster ship that's out there right now, which, again, that's a big decision. Do I want to bring all those people on? People would like me to do that. I don't like the idea of doing it. But anybody that needs a test can have a test. This was something that we were thrown into, and we're going to handle it, and we have been handling it very well. The big decision was early when we shut down our borders. We're the first ones ever to do that. We've never done that in our country before. We would have a situation that would be a lot more dire. It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. We want to protect our shipping industry, our cruise industry, cruise ships. We want to protect our airline industry, very important. But everybody has to be vigilant and has to be careful. But be calm. It's really working out. The numbers from a week ago were great, and from 2 days ago were great, but now we're hitting a patch. And we're going to have to do something with respect to getting rid of this virus as quickly as possible. After consulting with our top government health professionals, I have decided to take several strong but necessary actions to protect the health and well-being of all Americans. To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days.
This is not a test.
The new rules will go into effect Friday at midnight.
Announcing the commencement of the annual purge sanctioned by the U.S. government. Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the purge. All other weapons are restricted. Government officials of ranking 10 have been granted immunity from the purge and shall not be harmed. Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when the purge concludes. Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
You could tell me, is it 32 deaths? See, if around that. I mean, think of it, the United States, because of what I did and what the administration did with China, we have 32 deaths at this point. Other countries, smaller countries, have many, many deaths. 32 is a lot. 32 is too many. But when you look at the kind of numbers that you're seeing coming out of other countries, It's pretty amazing when you think of it. To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Very big words, but I
You
can
might
tell
have
you.
it even if you don't have symptoms. Are you
Well-
being selfish by not getting tested and potentially
Well, I
exposing?
didn't say I wasn't going to be tested.
Are you going to be?
Most likely, yeah. Most
When do
likely.
you think
Not for
that'll
that
happen?
reason, but because I think I will do it anyway.
Will you let us know
Fairly
the
soon.
results?
We're working on that. We're working out a schedule. I also took the test last night. Yeah. And I decided I should, based on the press conference yesterday. People were asking, did I take the test? I don't know, whatever it takes, a day or 2 days, whatever.
Shaking hands, sir.
Because it almost becomes a habit, and you get out of that habit. And frankly, I was a non-handshaker for the most part. I never believed that shaking hands once you become a politician. And I notice it too. Political people walk up to me, they want to shake my hand. I said, well, you know,
message, sir.
just wait a minute. Just take it nice and easy, okay? Just relax.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why don't
People
we
come
just
up to me,
relax? We'll turn
they
on
shake
the
hands, they put their hand out. It's sort of a natural reflex, and we're all getting out of it. All of us have that problem. You don't have to buy so much. Take it easy. Just relax. People are going in and they're buying more. I remember, I guess during the conversation, Doug of Walmart said that they're buying more than they buy at Christmas. Relax. We're doing great. It all will pass.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the response to this crisis?
I'd rate it a 10. I think we've done a great job. And it started with the fact that we kept a very highly infected country, despite all of even the professionals saying, no, it's too early to do that. We were very, very early with respect to China. And we would have a whole different situation in this country if we didn't do that. I would rate it I would rate ourselves and the professionals. I think the professionals have done a fantastic job. It seems to me that if we do a really good job, we'll not only hold the death down to a level that is much lower than the other way, had we not done a good job.
Bruh.
COVID was getting worse, rent wasn't being paid, and unemployment numbers were skyrocketing. Once again, it literally could not go tits up. They hadn't taken into account one thing, however. A booming market was Trump's golden ticket to a re-election in 2020, and he wasn't just going to let it slip into the gutter. And so began the pump. The head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, is tasked with keeping the stock market afloat, a feat that seemed almost impossible under the current circumstances. But then something incredible happened. By pressing a simple button, Jerome Powell discovered something fascinating. A real-life infinite money glitch, one that was yet to be patched. Turned out that the Fed has a money printer, and it printed money. The recession was cancelled instantly. In late February, the US government had pledged $2.5 billion to fight the coronavirus, but by mid-April, they'd burnt through more than $6 trillion. The Fed pledged a $2 trillion stimulus package, as well as announcing unlimited purchasing of government bonds. Emergency 10-day packages of $1,200 were also deployed. The results were incredible. 40 million unemployed, the market's up. 100,000 dead worldwide, priced in. Almost $1 trillion added to the national deficit in 1 month. SPY 300. By simply taping the print button down, Jay Powell had ended the crash instantly.
But people are talking about July, August, something like that. So it could be right in that period of time where I say it washes through. Other people don't like that term, but where it washes through.
So is this the new normal until the height of the summer?
We'll see what happens, but they think August could be July. Could be longer than that. I just say this: we have an invisible enemy. We have a problem that a month ago nobody ever thought about.
Stop the cap.
Nobody in the, I've read about it. I read about many years ago, 1917, 1918. I've seen all of the different problems similar to this that we've had. This is a bad one. This is a very bad one. This is bad in the sense that it's so contagious. It's just so contagious. Our guidance yesterday urges Americans to take action for 15 days to help stem the outbreak. So it's a 15-day period. I guess now would say it's a 14-day period. It's 15 days from yesterday, and we're asking everyone to work at home if possible, postpone unnecessary travel, and limit social gatherings to no more than 10 people. By making shared sacrifices and temporary changes, we can protect the health of our people, and we can protect our economy, because I think our economy will come back very rapidly. One day we'll be standing possibly up here, we'll say, well, we won. And we're going to say that. Sure as you're sitting there. We're going to say that, and we're going to win, and I think we're going to win faster than people think, I hope.